Everyone, it's Tom from Story PvP Mode. I'm bringing you part 3 of a Fool's Guide to Programming. We're using Python and we're using the great free tool Codecademy. So go to there, sign up, and follow me as well using Codecademy and maybe these videos. I mean, really, you could just use Codecademy. These videos are entirely made just for my own learning. So we were on to the next stage. So it was whitespace and statement. Sorry. So what's a statement? You can think of a Python statement as being similar to a sentence in English. It's the smallest unit of the language that makes sense by itself. Just like I, like, and spam aren't statements by themselves, but I like spam is. Variables and data types aren't statements in Python, but they are the building blocks that form them. To continue the sentence analogy, it's clear that we also need a kind of punctuation to make it obvious where one statement ends and another begins. If you're familiar with JavaScript, you know that statements end with a semicolon. In Python, statements are separated by a white space. Just like you can't toss around semicolons wherever you want in JS, you can't throw white space around in Python. This may take some getting used to, especially if you're coming from a programming language where white space doesn't matter. Don't worry about understanding the code on the right, just hit run to see what happens. You should see an error message due to the badly formatted code. We'll fix it in the next exercise. Okay, so that's essentially just explaining, that's more just an explanation rather than anything else. So if we see from the error, the traceback most recent call last file runner.py, so Python programs end in py, by the way. Line 125 in compile code, file Python, line 2, eggs equals 12, indentation error, sorry. Expected an indented block. This code is badly formatted on purpose. Okay. In terms of the explanation, that is quite a clear explanation to statements. I would say though, if it doesn't make sense at first, because I think a lot of programming doesn't typically make sense at the very beginning. Regardless of if Python is the easiest language or if it's been surpassed in terms of its difficulty or entry point. If there's something with a lower entry point, Python, to me, it didn't make sense to me whilst I was doing it. So this is just sometimes you just have to go away and read it, leave it for a bit, and then come back, and then it will just suddenly make sense. That's just the learning process for me anyway. But we'll go on to the next section because all that was is just a run through. Oh, have I gone? Yeah, I've gone too far. Okay, so don't click next section, previous section, because you're just gonna miss the things. You gotta click. Okay, well, we've learned that. Rightio, so white space means right space. Notice the error you got when you ran the code in the editor. Indentation error, expecting an indented block. Yes, we did get that. You'll get this error when your Python whitespace is out of whack. If you've studied JavaScript, think of improper whitespace as improper use of colon or those parentheses. I don't actually know what curly brackets. I think those are typically called. When your punctuations are off, your meaning can change entirely. The peasant said the witch turned me into a newt. The peasant said the witch turned me into a newt. See what we mean. Yes, okay. So properly indent the code to the right by hitting the tab key on your keyboard once on line 2 before eggs, and again on line 3 before return. Hit run once you're done. once you've done this. Okay. So what we're doing is to the right. I think it means that. So run. Okay. I can't personally remember that one in Python, but yeah, I can't remember that one, but then it's been a while, so that's fine. Okay, so it's a matter of interpretation. In the introduction to this unit, we mentioned that Python is an interpreted language, meaning it runs using an interpreter. In the context of Codecademy, the interpreter is the console output window in the lower right corner of the page. So this one. For now, think of the interpreter as a program that takes the code you write, checks it for syntax errors. I don't think it's explained what syntax means. Syntax is essentially like the meaning. So yeah, don't think it's explaining the meaning of the meaning. So Python syntax is essentially the meaning. So the meaning of things. For now, think of the interpreter as a program that takes the code you write, check it for syntax errors, and executes the statements in that code line by line. It works as a go-between for you and the computer and lets you know the result of your instructions to the machine. So tell the interpreters to assign the value true to the variable spam and false to the variable eggs. Rightio, so this is the first sort of, I suppose, mini test. So I'm going to have to think of this one. So tell the interpreters to assign the value true to the variable spam. So spam's the variable, so spam equals true, eggs equals false. I believe that's right. So we'll check. Yeah, so the variable is just the name of the thing, and this is Boolean, so true that there's spam, but false that there's eggs. Okay, so that just concludes the Whitespace and statements section. I think I'll just leave it there for this lesson. So just take that in, absorb it. So yeah, go to Codecademy and check out all these lessons for yourself. For me, I just need to take some time out just to absorb the lesson, and just make sure that, you know, I might go through it and read it again just after I've done this video, make sure I've understood everything correctly. It's quite clear in everything they've said, so by all means, you know, as you're going through it, check it, read it, reread it. I mean, you can always go back to the lesson at any point. Okay, so that's it for part 3 of A Fool's Guide to Programming using Codecademy. Okay, until next time, goodbye.